What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for spooky duty. Yes, it is All Hallows Eve. So I figured that this week's Speedpaint should be something extra special and extra spooky, and dare I say, extra creepy. So without further ado, let us discuss the one and only French pyromaniac corpse-obsessed goth waifu extraordinaire, Creepy Susie.
Soon you will be dead. Then we dig up your grave and make your corpse do embarrassing things, a la Weekend at Bernie's.
Creepy Susie originally harkens from the book Creepy Susie and 13 Other Tragic Tales for Troubled Children, written by Oblongs. Eventually that work was adapted into the more well-known Adult Swim show The Oblongs, where Creepy Susie loses her title character credit and is relegated to one of the side characters in favor of a more admittedly market-friendly family sitcom model that stars the titular family of The Oblongs. Despite this downgrade and her criminally sparse speaking parts as a result, Creepy Susie still managed to creep her creepy way into the hearts and minds of those watching her on screen for the first time, present company included. You see, Creepy Susie endeared herself to me even before reading her original book. So when I did read the original book, it just made me like her even more. Now, the Oblong show itself was pretty crazy and off-kilter, especially Creepy Susie. But the book took it to a whole new level of weirdness. A kind of weirdness that, as I mentioned before, didn't surprise me that the brass didn't feel would translate to marketable adult animation when they greenlit the show. So if you want to read it for yourself, I recommend getting the book. It's pretty cool if you're into, creepy things. And because of all this creep nonsense I keep talking about, I wish to draw inspiration from Oblong's work and Creepy Susie herself. Now, in regards to the book itself, the main thing I want to draw inspiration from that is its audacity. There's no other way to describe this book other than unapologetically weird. The thing is, the book is divided into a bunch of short little stories. And a lot of these stories have the characters that would eventually be introduced in the Oblongs. For example, you have the story of the Debbies that introduces the character Helga Fugly, where she straight up decapitates all the popular girls. You have, of course, the story of Creepy Susie herself, going through girl troubles and seeking advice by exhuming her dead great-great-great-grandmother. And then there's one story that particularly entertains and disturbs me called Rosie's Crazy Mother. That's actually the first introduction of Pickles Oblong. But in this story, she isn't the Pickles we know from the show and only goes by Rosie's mother. Basically, the story is all about how this little girl Rosie is concerned about all the crazy things her mother does, like shave the cat and tattoo a full body image of herself on her backside just in case. But the part that really gets me in this story is the end bits, where it reads something like, Rosie began to worry that she would end up as crazy as her mother one day, and she did. And it just straight up shows a grown-ass Rosie being crazy. And it's funny because it's so punchy and anticlimactic, but it's also really disturbing because it's such a downer. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Rosie cannot escape the crippling mental illness that is inevitable. But I respect Oblong for making his book that twisted. I really admire that dedication to absolute weirdness and one day hope to accomplish something similar, albeit once again with my own special twist on it. Now, as far as the Oblongs show is concerned, it does greatly deviate from the source material, other than, of course, maintaining the characters within, and its plot is much more mainstream, telling the story of a family that lives in a radioactive dump and how they live their weird little day-to-day lives. But even with all those changes, it's a charming story filled with its own very weird plots and scenarios. And of course, it has Creepy Susie. Much like the book, what I mainly want to draw inspiration from as far as the show goes is its adherence to the weirdness. Sure, it's not as absolutely nutty as the book, but it still has some good moments. Mainly, I just love watching the kids interact with each other because that's where I believe most of the weirdness of the original book is preserved. And of course, this is where we see the most of Creepy Susie. And because of that, I think it's time to start talking about the aforementioned goth waifu extraordinaire that is Creepy Susie. Oh, Creepy Susie. Why do I like Creepy Susie? Well, it's quite simple, people. She's creepy. She's creepily morose, creepily mysterious, creepily insane, and most creepy of all, she's French. Now, that creepiness is something I wish to draw inspiration from, but there's something else, something a bit more nebulous about her that also inspires me. You see, Creepy Susie has a specifically unique vibe to her that I really don't see in other similar goth ish characters in cartoons. Like, let's take some of the popular usual suspects. You got Raven from Teen Titans. You have Mandy from Grim Adventures. Wednesday Addams, Addams Family. And then Gwen from Total Drama Island. And Violet Parr, I guess, from The Incredibles, maybe, kinda. I'm starting to run out of steam here. Anyway, let's just leave it at those. All these characters I've mentioned have their own quirks and unique personalities that make them special in their own way. But none of them really stick out in my mind quite like Creepy Susie. With the exception of Violet, but I'm not going to talk about that here because she is going to get her own video one day. Anyway, I think I know why Creepy Susie specifically sticks out in this way. Out of all these characters, none of them are quite as outcast and morose as Creepy Susie, and that sounds weird, but hear me out. Now, obviously, they all have their outcast problems and go through their ups and downs, but most of the characters here have something to be truly confident about. And even in the case of Raven and Violet, who have their own baggage that they have to worry about, part of their respective arcs is getting over said baggage and learning to be more confident in themselves. And I think that is kind of one of the key words here, is confidence. All of these other goth chicks either already are confident or earn confidence in their story, and Creepy Susie does not. Creepy Susie does not strike me as confident. She doesn't come across as satisfied or happy with her weirdness like Wednesday or Mandy does. In her case, being creepy is not a badge of honor. It is a source of shame, a kind of shame that she doesn't really wear on her sleeve, but you can feel it in her demeanor. It's like I can tell that she feels shame in who she is. You know, what she does, who she hangs out with, the weird, creepy things that she likes, all of that. And actually, you know what? Let me backtrack. Let me correct myself. I don't think shame is the right word here. I think guilt is more appropriate. Shame, you see, connotates an outside pressure to conform. And I do think that Creepy Susie gets plenty of that, no doubt. But guilt connotates an inner turmoil. And I think that's more accurate as to why she's so captivating, and ultimately what sets her apart from the other characters, even Raven and Violet. Raven and Violet have to deal with shame. Their arcs are all about accepting themselves for the superpowered freaks that they are and using that to their advantage. I believe that Creepy Susie gives off a sense of guilt. I honestly think that she knows she's messed up, and messed up in a genuinely bad way, and in her own strange and creepy way, she kind of seems to feel bad about it.
I have a problem.
She clearly has a desire to get along with her friends and to be a part of a quote-unquote normal group, but she's just so creepy that it's quite an uphill battle for her, even amongst a group of weirdo outcasts. That perceived guilt in her own creepiness, that subtle yet juicy well of introspection, coupled with her desire to enjoy the company of others as best as she can, is ultimately what fascinates me about her, and what I wish to draw inspiration from. I would love to create a character, or even several characters, who have that strange darkness or creepiness or what have you to them, that makes them genuinely off-putting to normal society. And not just in a shameful way, because that would imply the problem is coming from society not accepting someone who's eccentric or innocently outside the norm. No, I want a character who has something bad going on about them. Something bad that they know is bad, and they feel genuine guilt over. That would be truly creepy. And with that last creepy thought, I think it's time to wrap up today's creepy video. Well then, puny mortals, if you like what you see here and you wish to see more, go ahead and uppercut that naughty like button. And if you wish to see more of this content, remember to also vigorously thwack that subscribe and that notification button. It really helps the channel out in the algorithm and lets me know what you like to see. And if you have the inkling to spread the chaos on this All Hallows Eve, go ahead and share this video with friends and foes alike so you can spread the spookiness. Also, feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. It's always good to hear what you people have to say about the video, or if you have any requests that you may have for future content. In addition, if you wish to follow me elsewhere, go ahead and hit up my social media links in the description box down below as per usual. And with all that said, I thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you all have yourselves a happy and creepy Halloween. And until next time, deuces.